God, we thank you for the morning. We thank you for your love and your grace that you have showered on us just this week even. And may you hear our hearts this morning. As we just sang, here's my heart, Lord. Speak what is true to my heart, that I might know you deeper and leave knowing you so much more clearly than I did when I came in. So God, in all that we do and all that we say this morning, may you get the glory. Speak to our hearts. Amen. It was Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson was someone who described himself as someone who, I'm going to follow the truth wherever it goes. I'm never afraid to follow the truth. And that's where we're going to go with this next series. The whole idea is we want to seek the truth and follow it where it leads. The alternative is to just follow a lie and say, oh, well, that's nice. We'll just keep that. We want to follow the truth and to get down to it. Because the truth, all truth is God's truth, and it always leads back to Him. The truth is Jesus. That's where we end up. So in case you miss anything else in the morning, that's where we're ending up. Let me take you back to your college days. If you went there, maybe you had this in high school, but you had your freshman philosophy 101 class. Oh, this was like the big thing. And you have this auditorium filled with everybody, because everybody has to take this class. Philosophy 101. And in walks your professor, kind of strutting a little bit. He's very confident. Walks up to the lectern or the podium, however we want to say that. And he starts rolling through some PowerPoint slides. And up on the screen, you see people like philosophers. You have Socrates and Plato, Aristotle. Then he starts playing the other pictures of more famous religious figures. Maybe Confucius is there. Maybe Muhammad. And then maybe Buddha. And then maybe even Jesus. And then all of a sudden he stops. He says, so who knows the truth? And he pauses. And he's waiting for you to think through this a little bit, because a good professor hopefully gets you to think a little bit. And he says, what is the truth? Who knows the truth? Any of these? He says, let me posit this. No one knows the truth. It's an elusive thing. It's like a mist. Like we kind of get a picture and then we don't. And I'm not here to tell you what to believe, but there's no absolute truth. You just do the best that you can and find the truth for yourself. And every one of the people in this classroom leaves more confused than when they came in. Because they're saying, what do I believe? What's the foundation for my world? What's the truth? And it wouldn't be that bad of a thing, but there is some serious consequences for not having the truth. It was 1943 in France. And if you know your history, 1943 would be World War II. And there's a whole bunch of people lined up to get on this bus. Some of them are just older people. Some of them are people that are, they're not really friendly towards the Nazi occupation in France. Some might be even Jews. And they're going to get on this bus. And there's no fighting. There's no twisting of arms to get them on this bus. Everybody's watching them going, oh, why are this guy's getting on the bus? And then all of a sudden they leave. And they don't know that they're going to die within the next 12 hours. And everybody else doesn't know that. They just think nothing is going on. It's just a natural thing. They're getting on a bus. They're going away. And why would they be so calm? Because on the side of the bus says Charitable Transport Company. They're just going to go away somewhere. But the truth is, they were going to die. They were going to die horribly. There's some consequences for not knowing the truth. Because the truth is important. And the professor that says there's no absolute truth, is that the truth? You know, the foundation of our faith is the truth. And we seek it wherever it goes. We refuse to live in a dream world. It's kind of like if you've watched the Matrix from, how many years ago was that? Where Morpheus holds out these two, looks like jujubes, and he says, I got a red one and a blue one. And you take the blue one and you just stay in this dream world and you never know the truth. But if you take the red one, then you'll know the truth. Which one do you want? Do you want to live with the lie and, oh, this is a beautiful lie, or do you want to know the truth? And for us this morning and all the way through all of our time at Celebration, we want to know the truth. And Jesus says, hey, this is the truth. Follow this truth. In Matthew 16, he was talking with some of his believers, some of his disciples, and he says this. When Jesus came to the region of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, who do people say the Son of Man is? Well, they replied, some say John the Baptist, and some say Elijah, and others say Jeremiah or one of the other prophets. And then he asked them, but who do you say that I am? And Simon Peter answered, you are the Messiah, the Son of the living God. And just to bring you into that context, I told you the story, and I want to unpack that a little bit, because there used to be a place called Caesarea Philippi. And I say that because it's no longer there. It's just a big old park. We have a map here. Here's Jerusalem down here, and 150 miles north is Caesarea Philippi. It was 150 miles out of Jerusalem. And it used to be like the center of all things political and all things pleasurable. It was like a mixture of Washington, D.C. and Las Vegas. And that's because this used to be different parts and different regions. When, you know, Herod the Great, he was most famous for killing all the babies in Bethlehem. When he dies, he's got 3 sons, and he puts them over the 3 areas over here. One takes the Judah, Samaria area. One takes up in the north area by Caesarea Philippi. One takes Galilee part. But the one that goes up north is named Philip. That's his son. And he makes Caesarea Philippi the center of all of the area. And in that area, there's a mountain. It's an old volcano that's dormant. It's called Mount Hermon. It's the tallest mountain in Israel. Presently, it's the best place to go skiing if you go to Israel. So if you like to go skiing, want to go to Israel, that's where you would go. Oh, that looks terrible. It looks much better. If you really want to see it, it's up there. I thought that would come out better. It's a dormant volcano, and when the snows melt every spring, they go on all these rivers and gullies, and they come out in the streams, but some of them go inside and go down. And then they start bubbling up at the foothills or at the base of the mountain. And one of these is called the Grotto of Pan. It was an old god that people would worship. The Grotto of Pan, this water would come rushing out of this cave. You can see, there's a closer one. It would come rushing out of this cave. And it was thought that this was a place that people could commune with the dead. You know, people would go there and they would sing, all right, I want to talk with loved ones that have passed on. It was thought of be a doorway to the underworld, also known as like the gates of hell or Hades, the place of the dead. That's the gates there. And that's what it was known as. This is the place of pagan worship. They even made a nice little temple area there. They would throw their sacrifices into this cave area. And this open-air temple was a place that they would worship Pan and other gods. Up in the side of the hill and around the area of Caesarea Philippi, they would have these little niches. Hopefully that's the way you say that word, a niche. A little dug-out area where they would put some statues to their gods. Here's another picture. He's a little smaller. Thank you, person, for helping me get the size right. So they would put these statues in there, and then you could worship whatever god you wanted to in one of these. And they were all over Caesarea Philippi. He said this is a no judgment zone for people. Because you can see that you could be right here, you could be worshiping your God. I can walk 10 feet over, and I have my God that I worship. There's no judgment here. You get your God. You do your worship thing, whatever it does, and I'll do mine. It's no judgment here. We just do what we can. And this is the area that Jesus says, who do people say I am? Who do people say that I am? Am I just another shrine that people will worship someday? And the disciples, they jump in. They're like, I got the answer to that one, Jesus. I know the answer. Pick me. And some people say that you're John the Baptist come back from the dead because Herod chopped his head off and he's tormented day and night. He's thinking he's being haunted by John the Baptist. Well, some people think you're that. Well, some people think you're Elijah because Elijah was going to come back before the Messiah came again. And some people think you're Jeremiah because you speak to power. It's like, this is not right, and you are so forceful with that. Some people think you're one of those people. But Jesus makes it personal. It's not about what other people think. He says, what do you think? Who do you say that I am? Who do you say that I am? Because not all truth is equal. All of these shrines, all these niches, not all of them are equal. There's consequences for not knowing the truth. Let me show you a picture. There's a guy named Joseph Kony. And I like repulsed by this man. This is a guy who, northern Uganda, southern Sudan. He's a person that orders his troops to intimidate and to abduct and threaten and destroy and murder. He's kidnapped 30,000 children. Goes into a place and takes all the children. And all the boys, they become part of his army. Gives them a gun. All the girls become sex slaves for his lieutenants and his captains. And it's just repulsive. This is a guy who has proclaimed himself as a self-proclaimed Messiah. And this is the truth that he gives to people. Hey, go kill in my name. Imagine a little kid, 6 years old, 7 years old, here's your gun, and here's your parents, go kill your parents. And they do. It repulses me. But this is the truth that he brings out. Is this the same par as Jesus? Is this truth, this Messiah, on the same par? Here's another one. World War II. Back in 1930, they tried to equate, this was your truth, you want to equate Jewish people with rats. You dehumanize them. That's the truth that they tried to bring out. And the idea, because if you can take a person and make them not human, you can treat them differently than you would normally. So if you equate Jewish people with rats, what do you do with rats? You exterminate them. But this is the truth that was put forward. You have Joseph Kony. Is that the truth compared to the Nazis? This was their truth that they're bringing out. Is all truth equal then? It's just what you believe. You get the philosophy teacher says, we don't know the absolute truth. You just have to believe what you believe and you do the best you can. This is the environment that Jesus brings up the idea, who do you say that I am? Jesus answers that later in the Bible. It just says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And no one comes to the Father except through me. That's the truth. You know, it's like this. If I have 2 blocks in this hand and 2 blocks in this hand, and I shake them up and I put them on my stand here, I'm going to get how much? How many blocks are going to be on the stand? Come on, even those that are mathematically challenged. You guys know the answer. You're going to get 4. Oh, you know, I'll pick them up again. All right, I'll shake them up, put them down, I'll get 4 again. How many times do I need to do this? And you know that this is the answer. This is the truth. 2 plus 2 equal 4. These are facts. This is the truth that you have to understand in our physical world. That unless you grab a hold of this, you're living in a dream world. That maybe your creative math teacher thought that 2 plus 2 equals 5. And they said, oh no, little Johnny, you just keep believing what you want to believe. But the truth is, 2 plus 2 is 4. That's a physical reality. When we get into the spiritual world, it's the same type of thing where Jesus says, who do you say that I am? And Jesus sets up an either-or situation for you. An either-or question that you will either be on one side of this question or you will be on the other side. There's no middle ground here. Jesus sets up this question and says, who do you say that I am? And on the one side, you have people that say, I think that he's a really good person. Your Philosophy 101 prof is going to say, oh, he's wonderful. You have billions of Muslims that will say, oh, we love Jesus. Jesus is in the Quran even. He's known as Isa. And they say he's wonderful. And he's the prophet who's coming back at the end of time and everything's going to get worked out. And you ask them further, say, who do you say that Jesus is? Oh, he's a great prophet. Is he the Messiah? Oh, no. He's not the Messiah. He's not God. You have millions of Jews that love Jesus. We love what he says. We're even looking forward to the Messiah someday. Who do you say Jesus is? Well, he's not the Messiah. He's a really good teacher, though. You have many people that go to church nowadays, or really good people that will say, we love Jesus. He talks about love all the time. He's wonderful. So who do you say that he is? Oh, he's a great, exemplary person. Is he God? Oh, no, I wouldn't say that. Jesus comes and says, who do you say that I am? You're going to be one side or the other. Because it all comes down to Jesus. In this situation, it's Peter. And we love Peter. Don't we? We love Peter because he is always swinging for the fences. With spring training going on and those baseball lovers, you love the idea of swinging for the fences. Go for big. And sometimes he would just crush it out of the park. And other times it was just like a little dribbler back to the pitcher. It's like, oh, that was horrible. Come on, Peter, you can do this. This time he nails it. Jesus says, who do you say that I am? Who do you say that I am? Peter goes, oh, wait a minute. I got this one. Ready? You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God. You are the Messiah, the one we've been waiting for. The Son of the living God. Because on the other side of the story, you have the people that say, oh, no, he's a good person, he's loving and all these things. And on the other side, you have reality. The reality, the Bible, we read the Bible and the entire book looks back to Jesus. In the Old Testament, they were all saying, we're looking forward. God said we're going to take care of this sin problem because we're a mess. I know that none of us here is messes. No, we got everything together. And none of us are morally deficient or have any bad spots on us. So we'll just throw that out there. We know that's not true. We're all a mess. And God said, I know you're a mess. You got sin that's keeping me from you. Would you trust that I will take care of that for you? I'm going to send this Messiah, and He is going to remove your sin. And you need to trust Him. And all the New Testament is looking back to, we talk about Jesus. Jesus is the one. He's the one that's sent by God to remove a sin. Because it was Jesus who was born of the Virgin Mary. He suffered under Pontius Pilate. He was crucified. He died. And He was buried. And He descended into hell. And on the third day, He rose again from the dead. And He ascended into heaven, and He sits at the right hand of God the Father Almighty. And from there, He will come back to judge the living and the dead. That is our Jesus. That is the side of truth on this either-or question. And Jesus is who He said He is. He has done what He said He will do. And He will do what He says He will do. Our foundation of our faith comes down to who is Jesus? Who do you say that Jesus is? You know, the Bible, John just says it at the end of his book. It was John chapter 20. I don't have it on the slide. John chapter 20, verse 31, and it just goes on. There's so many things that I couldn't put in this letter to you. It's already 20 chapters. It's a long book. I'm writing all these things. There's so many things that Jesus said and He did. But I wrote these things so that you may believe and have life in Jesus' name. I've written all these things so that you can know Jesus. It's an either-or thing. I asked my friend to breakfast one time. And we always go to breakfast because the best food is always served at breakfast, at least in my opinion. It's just a wonderful reality in life. But this friend of mine was he's one of the loving people in the universe. You know, he would paint people's houses knowing that they're never going to pay him back. He would help people out of the goodness of his heart just because. He was just always that way. He was brought up to work hard, and he helped other people. That's the way you lived life. And I found out that he kind of walked away from that. And he didn't believe that Jesus was anything more than a good man, and that okay, you believe in Jesus, awesome, that's for you. Okay, you believe in Buddha, awesome, that's for you. And then everybody's truth is their truth. And I took him out for breakfast because I said, man, I want to talk with him about this. Hopefully get him back on the right track. Get him to see Jesus as the only way, the only truth, the only life. And we started off just talking because that's what you do at breakfast. Hey, what are you going to order? Oh, this is great. We're at Perkins. You know, I don't know if they even have Perkins anymore. But it was. Let's go have some breakfast. We started talking, and then he stopped me. He just says, Matt, hold on a second here. You're not going to change my mind. It's taken me a long time to get to this point. This is what I believe. You're not going to change my mind. And for each of us, we have someone like that in our world, don't we? Someone that just, you can talk about Jesus all you want. I don't believe that He's the one. And it should break your heart. And it should just crush you. We look forward to Easter, and we had these cards. There's still a bunch of them on the info booth, that people that we are praying for because they don't know Jesus. The foundation of faith. The only way, the only truth, the only life. My hope is that you don't give up on them. Because our God is the one who changes minds and hearts. We are just here to say, God, how can you use me if you can? But do what you can to bring them to know you. Have them follow the truth wherever it leads, because we know that it always leads back to you. You know, Jesus says, who do you say that I am? My hope is that that's the one that you look back to. You say, Jesus, you're the way, the truth, the life. There's no one who comes to God the Father but by you. You are the Messiah, the Son of God. Pray with me.